All right. Hello, everyone. Here we go. Whiskey review number 1. We got Lagavulin 16 from the wonderful island of Isla. I believe Isla is an island. Correct me if I'm wrong. And comes in this beautiful box right here. Lagavulin 16. Has a picture of the distillery right there, established in 1816. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So this will be the second Isla Scotch that I've tried. I'm very new to the whole whiskey, bourbon, Scotch scene. And my very first Isla was Lafroig 10, which I just finished about a week ago. And when I first tried it, it was my second ever bottle that I had purchased, and man, it knocked me out. It was hardcore smoke, hardcore peat. I could not get past that flavor until I got probably 3/4 of the way through the bottle, and then I could finally start to pick up a little bit on the nuance. And by the end of it, it had became my go-to. I had bought a few other bottles by that point, bourbons, couple other scotches, and that was the one I just kept going back to. That I don't know what about that smoke, that peat, but that just gives it such a unique flavor, which I've heard is pretty characteristic of Lagavulin. So I got a little pour here. I'm gonna add a little more though, just to get the full experience. All right, so we'll jump right into this. Go on the nose. So immediately you do pick up on that smoke, on that peat, but it's not as potent as you might think. If you've had a Lafroig, and I wish I could say any other Isla. That's the only other Isla I'm really familiar with. So that's going to be what I compare it to. But the Lafroig, to me, jumped out of the glass, the smoke, the peat, and even towards the end when I had already been accustomed to that, that was absolutely the flavor, the smell that stood out. And with this, it's more subtle. It's there, it's prominent, but more subtle for sure. Getting some other scents in there, some wood, some barrel. That's coming through a lot more. And I would suspect that's because it was sitting in the cask for 16 years. A little bit longer than that Lafroig 10 that I had. 6 more years can definitely change a whiskey a significant amount. So it is interesting though, to when you think about how the peat is affected by the age, how it can get toned down. And it's definitely noticeable difference. The barrel smells have come out more, and the peat smell still there, still strong, but not as present. Really good scent though. Very, very good nose. All right, so now we'll go on to taste. So the flavor that jumps out at me is nutty, like almost like just straight roasted peanuts and smoke. Those are the two leading flavors. There's some other stuff going on there, very subtle sweetness. Oh man, very complex. Wow, that is outstanding. But would highly recommend if you're someone who has had smoky whiskey. Honestly, if you're even someone who's just getting into Scotch and is looking for an entryway into Isla, I would have a hard time not recommending this, just because it has such a smooth taste, hardly any alcohol bite. Now you would have to spend a little bit more for sure. I think I picked up this bottle for a little over $80, which in my mind is actually a pretty good deal considering I've heard this could go in excess of $100. So that's definitely contingent on where you live. For me, that would be in Texas. So I picked up this one at Total Wine. But definitely a great bottle for someone who enjoys Isla. And man, this is delicious. This is actually my first bottle, and this is probably about my third glass. And I'm already in love. This is amazing. Ooh, it's just so smooth, and that aftertaste. It's just that perfect blend of smoke, wood, and absolutely delicious. It reminds me of the Macallan 15 I had a few months ago, where it seems like something about that age mark, once it crosses a certain age, and this is just in my experience, I could be dead wrong about this, but that barrel flavor, man, or cask flavor, really starts to come out in the whiskey. Perfect weather for it. This is the coldest night we've had all year. It's 33 degrees right now, which for most of you out there, probably not that cold. For Texas, that is insane. And it actually just dropped to 32. So now we are in freezing temperatures. So I will be staying indoors, bundled up, sipping on some Lagavulin, and we will call it at that. So good night, cheers, and stay well.